So we are quite a new company. Reckeen is quite new. However, we are owned by another company, HDP Media, that has been on the market for the past 25 years. And we've been creating technologies for other companies such as Data Video, Avid, ORAD, or Monarch. Some of the technologies that we've developed is 3D Engine, Chroma Keying, and capture cards. And based on those technologies, we created our own products. Everything is manufactured, designed by our engineers in Poland. We do everything ourselves, software and hardware, which we're very proud of. And one of our products is a 2D studio, Reckeen Lite. And I'm pretty sure that you all know the difference between 2D and 3D, but just to be sure, 2D is based on flat image, so we can place different layers on the studio layer. We can place talent, we can place different objects and DSK at the end. And the camera movement is, of course, just zoom in, zoom out, up, down, right and left. However, in 3D, there is more possibility. Of course, we can rotate the camera, we can go around all the 3D objects, which is more real. We can imitate the camera crane movement and really go around the whole space of the 3D set. So that's how our system looks like. It's a PC-based system. Both Reckeen Lite and Reckeen 3D Studio has a similar hardware. Just look inside. So our audio panel has, of course, XLR inputs, outputs, as well as jack input outputs. And based on preferences, we can have either just HDMI inputs or HDMI and SDI. We've got four inputs, and we support 4K 30p in this version. However, our more advanced version of 3D Studio is 3ds Pro. It differs in hardware a little bit, so we don't have audio panel, but we've got an external audio box, ADB100. We support in this version 4K, 60p, and Genlock. And we've got the audio panel supports digital and analog signals, and it has the highest sound quality. And just before we go into the depth of our 3D Studio, I'll quickly tell you about another product of ours, which is MVP100. And it's a multi-video processor that imitates multi-camera live production using usually one or two static cameras. We've got, oops, sorry, too fast. So we've got, usually we would use one or two 4K cameras to create 8 outputs. Here it is. So just to picture, on the left we've got the image from one 4K camera, and we can create different windows that later on we can animate, and they create separate outputs. So this is a great solution for a space where either you don't want the cameraman to walk from one spot to another, or there's just no place for that. So we just placed one or two static cameras, and we have that feel of multi-camera production. And going into our 3D Studio. So yeah, let's look inside it. So yeah, that's what I said before. We can go around the whole studio. I've got a simple, everything is a 3D object, so everything can be moved inside. We can go around everything. We can rotate the cameras, just like that. And this is our interface. And we have, by default, over 50 ready-made scenographies, ready-made sets. They are preloaded with our system. You can use them straight away without need for any adjustments. However, you can customize every single detail inside those studios as well. So this is just, going back to the studio, to the editor, and we'll show you what can we do to customize a ready-made studio like this one. So for example, we've got a desk. We can move it, we can make it bigger, we can make it smaller. And pretty much we can do that with every single object, everything, including floors, walls, monitors. Right now we will also add another object. We've got a library of over 700 3D objects inside of our system. It also comes by default for free. So we can search for an object that interests us. We can upload it inside. And again, we can do it from the inside of the interface. We don't have to go out to do it. Everything is inside a production module. We're going to add another object, which is a trophy. And another thing that we can customize is the material or a texture or a color of every single object. So here we're going to change the texture and the color. And we're also going to animate it. So inside of our studio, we can animate any object, like this, for example. So it can appear, it can disappear, it can just rotate. Right now that's the example of another change that we can do. So we can change the floor, we can change the texture. Now it's a chrome floor. So you can see that the reflections are very accurate. Everything is reflected the same as we can see on the actual in the actual studio. Here we can change the color to really customize it and to create different areas in our studio. So if we can create one color in one side of the studio, or maybe to match our company logos, we can really customize it to what we need and what we like. And the next thing that we're going to look into is shadows. They are set by default. However, we can again customize it. Everything inside of our studio can be customized. We can change the density, we can change the circle and the intensity of that. So that's up to your liking. Talking about the shadows, we need to talk about the lights as well. We've got different type of lighting available, and again, it is set by default, so you don't have to change anything. You can just literally click and have it and be ready to go. However, you can adjust it and change the intensity of the lighting, change the color of the lighting, the placement, and to really set the unique mood of the set. And here we've got a 3D animation. It's an external animation from external application. It has been animated before, and we can just choose the placement of the animation, click play, and it's going to be played. And what we're showing now is camera shots. So we've got 4 virtual cameras, and each camera has 15 assigned shots. So just with one click, we can go from one place in the studio to another, which is just really ease up the production. However, we can also, using our joystick, we can move around the studio on our own to what we want and how we want. It's very easy, very intuitive. The advantage of 3D over 2D is the fact that we can go really, really close to anything pretty much, and the texture the quality is sustained. So no matter how close you go, you will you will see that the quality stays exactly the same, and it's really great. But now we'll show you how to create your own set. It's a part of our system. It's very all-rounded, as I said, and it's very easy. So if you don't feel like the ones that you found, the preloaded sets, meet your needs, or you want something really unique, you can do it yourself within a wizard editor. So as you can see, you choose a template, and then you've got loads of pins appearing on the floor. And click on those pins, you can add everything. So we're starting with the walls. Of course, this is very provisional. We're not going to design everything here, just to show you, how to do it. So yeah, objects, desk, we'll add monitor, we'll add talent. And all that you can use the library again. You can use the 3D library that comes by default, or you can use also Microsoft Paint 3D that it's actually incorporated into our system. So you can choose from their library, or you can just create your own 3D objects. And of course now, when we're finished with the furniture and the design, we adjust the lighting. We can add the sky map around. There are different type of sky maps. So it can be still image, or we can add a video and make it move. There's a sky map that is 360 degrees, so we can rotate the camera fully around. And just like that, we can start the production. So just to, just to remind you again, we've got 700 3D objects in the library, or you can use Microsoft Paint 3D, or export it from any external application, more advanced. That's also possible. And now we're going to show you different examples of the sets. So that's one of it. We can start the animation of any object just with one click, just with play. It's very high rendering of the animations. With the cameras, we can go through the object just like it's shown right now. And that's one of the camera shots. So with one click, we're going into the separate side of the studio. Behind, we've got virtual monitors. It can be anything. It can be camera input. It can be a video. We can send the signal through NDI. So anything we want. And that's me once again. That's another example. This is another example of the sets that we already have in our system. What will be shown is an animation of the election. So that's one of the use that you can implement inside your production. Everything is really simple to use. So if you're familiar with such systems, you'll find it really quick to learn about it. If you're new, it's still going to be a very easy process to learn everything that you see and to operate the whole system. Apart from, let's say, normal sets, we've got also a kids sets for kids programs or for education. So just like that, we can have different, very colorful 3D animations and 3D objects, and we can use it for any kind of interactive and implementing technology into education. And we can, of course, what we see in the virtual monitors, we can bring up to full screen as well. That's the studio that you've seen before, a weather forecast. And what we'll see here, it's going to be an animation of a map of USA. which will appear in a second. It was designed outside. I think this was in 3D Max. That's where it was designed. And then using either OBJ or FBX files, we can import it inside. We provide all the documentation on how to do it and how to set up the graphic to implement it inside the studio. And the suns and the clouds were made or actually imported from Microsoft Paint 3D. And we can just put one on another. Very simple, and just like that you can do a weather forecast. And lastly, before we move on to the next section of the presentation, this is what we call a squad scenography. So using a laser technique, the actual building was scanned. So everything you see is a real building, real walls, apart from what we see outside the windows, which is a sky map. And we can use that space the same way that we use any other set. We can put the talent inside. We can set the shadows, which we'll see the talent in just a second. So that's just another example of how we can use our system. So it doesn't have to be a standard scenography, but things like that also work and can have a really good use as well. And coming back to our presentation, now we'll talk about Reckeen user interface. So we'll see the interface. Thank you. So that's the screen, that's how production module look like. And we're going to go and see bits by bits. I'll describe what it is. I'm pretty sure that you recognized most of it if you're familiar with such systems, but we'll quickly talk about it too. Okay, so first of all, we've got multi-viewer. And here we can have our camera inputs, our media, still and graphics, everything that we later on want to put on air. So very easy, very straightforward, no further explanation needed, I think. We support 6 NDI inputs. So for any camera or media, we can just put a NDI input. Right now, before we were using NDI to, I think one of the cameras was sent, the signal was sent to our studio and it was placed in virtual monitor. We also have one output. So actually our output is going through NDI right now. So what you see is connected through NDI. The next thing is, of course, live rendering preview and program windows and program and preview buses. So, of course, we've got everything, the cameras, the virtual cameras, that's what's highlighted, actually, the virtual cameras, and everything else that, any other media or still or text that you might have that we want to send into program and preview. In the camera setup, what I said before, that we have 4 virtual cameras. Each camera has 15 available shots. They are pre-designed, however, that's the place that you want to go to when you want to change them. So you can literally program how do you want the cameras and each shot to look like. And later on, on the main switcher, you can manage those and use them in the production from this window. Of course, our output can be streamed. YouTube, Facebook, or Ustream, just the examples. It can be streamed to anything that you want, any platforms. Yeah, no limitation here. We can also live capture too fast again. We can live capture the program. We've got a capture button, and using those formats, that's how we can capture it. The next section of the interface is our T-bar. So T-bar helps us to transition between preview and program. We can use it manually, or we can use one of the effects and automations. So we will set the times of the transition. We can choose the type of the effect. There's a lot of effects. You can put them in your favorite folder, the ones that you use the most for the ease of the production. And we also have, of course, DSK, which stands for downstream keys. We've got 2 of those. And it can be anything. So it can be text, media, still image, any camera inputs, or a titler. We've got our own titler within the system. As I said, it's very all-rounded. It has everything you need for the production. But also you can, through NDI, you can use another titler, for example, New Blue Titler Pro, which we tested, and it's really great, and it works really nicely. As I mentioned before about the animations, so we can have rigged animations imported from other from other applications such as Blender or 3D Max, or we can have the animations from within our systems. They're a bit simpler, but for certain purposes they're just enough. We also, in the interface, you can find audio mixer. So you can manage all the signals from the production panel. When you use an outside box, audio box, ADB 100, you can still use just this section to manage the signals. We've got this smart function that audio follows the video signal, which again is up the production process. Another section of the interface is media trays, and here you can. It's a library of your media that you want to use inside your production. It can be, again, anything, media, still, and text. You can put those in playlists to be played one after another. You can change the length of the video, shorten it, and do like simple editing like this. We've got 2 types of chroma keying. So we've got simple chroma keyer, which is either for someone who is not really experienced or doesn't have maybe much time to do that. So just using those 3 sliders, we can set up the chroma key. And there's a lot of automation included. So that takes literally 30 seconds to 1 minute. Or we can go and use a more professional chroma keyer, which takes you through 6 different steps, but it's very nicely prepared. It has a very nice description with pictures on how to set up that chroma keyer. So if you're experienced, that's completely no problem for you. If you're new, it will walk you through each step very nicely. So it's great for learning purposes too. And of course, we can create triggers for any commands. Those are just the examples of some of the commands. It's just ease up the process and make it very quick to trigger what we want to happen next. And lastly, there is our control panel, VQ100. It is not necessary to use our system, so we can use it completely using just the mouse and a keyboard of our computer. However, this definitely will help you to do it more smoothly and just to make everything more clear for you. So yeah, it includes joystick and a whole effect T-bar, which really nicely goes from do the transitions from one program to another. And just to sum up what we just said, well, actually, the first thing we didn't say about that part, but it's a very affordable system. It is significantly cheaper. I'm not going to go into that. You can have plenty of people to ask. But compared to its quality, it's very reasonably, very, very reasonably priced. Using our technologies, we've created a really good quality. As you said, as you've seen before, the companies that we've worked for are pretty big companies. They're using our technologies that we now implemented into our own product. We've got a set of wizard automated functions available, which, as I said before, ease up the process, ease up the learning, and it's just great for any kind of purpose. And what I said also before, it includes everything that you need. You don't have to go and buy sets. You don't have to go pay the designer for 3D objects. And that's because we've got loads of free content. We've got editors. Everything is included in one system, which is very handful and easy. And as I said, this is our control panel, which is not necessary, but will ease up your work. So we definitely recommend using one. But however, sometimes you might not have space for that. So keyboard will do as well. And that will be pretty much the end. On our website, you can find loads of tutorials to learn from. We've got over 50 tutorial videos that go through every single aspect, from setting up a keyer, talking about the animations, talking about creating scenographies. Whatever you might encounter, there's probably a video about it. But also, we provide full training if you're interested, for someone who wants to purchase our product. And also, when you're using our product, there's a full hardware and software support, and it's excellent. So I think that's it. That's in our email as well, if you would like to ask us any more questions. However, of course, Disk Systems is our reseller, so please, they know hopefully everything about our system, so they will tell you anything or may answer any questions that you might have. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Tak já bych poděkoval Adrianě a Jaroslavovi za skvělou prezentaci.